Willard 是 Trading with Cody 的主编，他经常活跃于 CNBC 和 Fox 的节目当中。他曾经在$1时买入苹果公司，也是在 IPO 时买入了谷歌公司。那么他到底有什么秘诀呢？ Cody Willard 是 Fox Business Network 福克斯电视台的前主播，他主持的节目 Happy Hour 欢乐时光是福克斯电视台长期排名第1的金牌节目。作为知名的对冲基金经理人，他独具慧眼，在苹果公司的股价只有$1时买入，现在呢已经是翻了130倍。同时他也是在谷歌公司上市时抢占先机，以$45的价格购入，如今呢也是涨了10几倍。而现在的他是金融社交网站 Spotify 的 CEO。 他这一次在 Money Show 上的讲座主题是如何寻找下一个苹果、谷歌和 Facebook。 我们就相关的问题采访了他。
Thank you so much, Cody. Thank you for joining us. So I was at your speech. I noticed that you were a former Fox Business news anchor. So which one you enjoy most, television star or Wall Street Wolf?
The word star might be a little strong there. I was a television anchor for sure, and I didn't like TV that much. I didn't like other people picking the topics that I was supposed to talk about, and sort of the day-to-day, as you know, having to get dressed up, and even as a guy, you got to put on makeup and get your hair done. And you know what? I'm a cowboy from New Mexico. I like to invest. I want to create other companies. So I definitely prefer being an investor and an entrepreneur.
Okay, great. Well, I'm really interested in your topic, using social networking for investing. So interesting fact, you know, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, sometimes he posts a Twitter, then the Tesla stock price rise a lot. I also read this article. A trader saw a tweet and made about 2.5 million from it because he saw the tweet.
He was early enough. He was early enough at responding to Elon Musk's tweet that he was able to. That's a tough game to do. I would not suggest that any retail investor at home or retail trader at home sits around and waits to try to find a news item from a CEO of a company that they own that they think the stock might pop. I would say, by the way, Elon Musk has also tweeted about his company Tesla before, and the stock crashed. So it doesn't. He's driven that stock both ways using social network. When I talk about using social networking for investing purposes, I'm talking more about the fact that it's no longer what you know, no longer who you know, because you actually are able to engage with anyone. It's about what you're able to learn and who you're able to actually go out and make contact with. That's what social networking is enabling people to do. They can become smarter, they can ask better investors than them questions, they can do more research, and yes, they can find real-time news why a stock like Tesla moves up because Elon Musk tweeted about it. You would find that out on Twitter, even other people talking about it on Twitter before you'd ever be able to find it on a news item or on TV or anywhere else.
Right. Well, so you bought Apple at what? When was it? 2003?
Yeah, March 2003, I went out and bought, Apple was trading for less than the cash they had in their checking account. The company had it was at, before, you know, it split 8 for 1 and 2 for 1 in the last 12 years since I've owned it. But technically, the stock was actually at $12 a share when I bought it, $13 a share, and the company had $14 net cash per share in the checking account, in their bank account, meaning the Wall Street thought Steve Jobs, who was back at Apple at the time, was going to destroy value and would never actually make money for investors. I thought that looked like a pretty good risk reward. I went in and bought Apple. I've owned it ever since. The iPod came out right after I bought it. iTunes hit, and it became a juggernaut. And as I used to say, I always wanted to see a iMini MacBook Pro in my pocket. And today, we've got the iPhone, the iMini MacBook Pro for my pocket.
I also noticed you have an Apple Watch.
I do. I just got that in, and yes, it's I forgot. I've had it for about a week or so, and I forgot to wear it Monday. I felt naked. I couldn't believe I missed it the whole day. I kept, oh man, I got to use a phone again. It changes you. That's another thing we could talk about. The wearables revolution that's coming down the pike. Google Glasses was the first iteration of it. There will be new Google Glasses coming out in another year or two. GoPro is another wearable device maker. That is another trend that you want to get in front of. Periscope is an app that is owned by Twitter that enables people wearing their GoPro cameras and or carrying around their cell phones to stream their own view, real life, and other people can watch it. That's going to be going on everywhere. You can see every kid, the billions of selfies that are taken every day by teenagers and 40-year-old mothers too. They're all going to be walking around streaming their lives, and you're going to be able to watch what Kim Kardashian's viewpoint is when she goes to the Oscars. Well, maybe she won't go to the Oscars, but you get my point. At the next event she goes to, you'll get to see her streaming her life.
Right, absolutely. So you bought Google at its IPO.
I did.
You bought Facebook. You didn't buy Facebook at its IPO. You bought Facebook after it crashed, $20, right?
Yes.
Why didn't buy Facebook at its IPO? By the way, that was smart.
Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But yeah, let me back up and address the Google one first. I bought Google on the day it came public. The day before I actually bought it, and the day before it came public, I had been on CNBC with Maria Bartiromo talking about Google and whether I would buy it. And my answer at the time had been, I don't think so. But I spent so much time that night going back through all of their filings and before they came public, looking at the company, decided it's a management and an executive team that I wanted to bet on, business model I wanted to be a part of. I bought the stock, and I've owned it ever since. Now, Facebook, I love Mark Zuckerberg. Again, I want to find great management, and I think Facebook has that, a true visionary. When the stock came public, there was so much hype around Facebook's IPO, and everybody I knew, all of my subscribers, which you can find me at tradingwithcody.com, by the way, they wanted that stock so bad, and it's just sort of, my gut, as much as anything, said, you know what, let it come public. I don't have to own it the first day. I think we might get a better buying opportunity. Well, I got real lucky. The stock, as you know, crashed from 35 down to 20. I started buying technically, I think, around 24, bought it all the way down to about 18. My cost basis is about $22 a share, and I still own almost every share I ever bought.
Great. There's some tech IPOs coming in 2015. Airbnb, Uber, Snapchat, those companies. Will you buy them at their IPOs?
I won't know whether I would invest in an IPO and buy the stock until I see what price it's coming public at, what the valuation's looking like compared to what their growth trajectory and their existing fundamentals might be like. I actually have a Snapchat competitor. Everybody watching, please go download Future, F-U-T-R. It's an app for your smartphone, smartwatch. You can send messages and schedule when they get delivered. I think Snapchat's a great idea. I don't know that I would ever actually invest in the company, though. Uber, depending on the valuation, as long as it's not too expensive, I would love to invest in Uber when it comes public, yes.
Okay, great. Earlier, I heard you talking about Warren Buffett. Are you a value investor as Warren Buffett?
Am I as good as Warren Buffett? I would say in some ways I'm better than Warren Buffett because I don't have to go around begging for welfare and getting bailed out when my investments in, say, like Wells Fargo, like he invests in. He invests in a lot of financial companies, all of which were bankrupt and insolvent back in 2008. And without my taxpayer largesse and welfare checks being written to those companies, Warren Buffett would have gone bankrupt too. At least his stock would have been crushed and it would not have recovered yet. The only reason Warren Buffett is one of the richest people in the world is also the only reason that Wells Fargo and Citigroup and Goldman Sachs still exist today, because they were bailed out with welfare money.
Right.
So I'm not a big fan of Warren Buffett or any of the too big to fail banks who continue to take welfare money, even though they're some of the richest people on the planet. Yeah. If we're going to give welfare money out, give it to poor people, give it to sick people. You don't give it to the richest people on the planet, for crying out loud.
I know. Okay.
And this is why I didn't like doing TV, because they'd always make me pretend that they wanted me to pretend Warren Buffett's some genius and Republicans are great and Democrats are liberal. And no, they're all welfare people giving money to giant corporations and the richest people on the planet. And you at home, you better start fighting that.
Wow. Okay. I also heard you talking about marijuana stocks. What's your view towards that?
If you want to invest in marijuana, you go out and you buy a fertilizer company, Potash, P-O-T, that's a great one. You go out and you buy a water company, Lindsay, L-N-N is the stock symbol. They make watering systems. You don't want to invest in any of these companies that are supposedly going to become big marijuana distributors, especially if they're a penny stock, especially if they're a micro-cap stock, especially if they're trading on pink sheets or over-the-counter. You run from those stocks. Without exception, very rarely, almost without exception, those companies are simply vehicles for the insiders to sell their shares to retail investors around the world. I personally have been approached by companies that have stock symbols like HEMP or CBDS or anything that sounds related to marijuana, the MJNA, these types of stocks. I will be approached by companies that then come and they want to pay me to hype those companies out to my subscribers, and then they want those subscribers to buy the shares that these guys are selling inside the company. It's a scam. Stay away from marijuana stocks. If you want to invest in the marijuana revolution, and yes, there will be a marijuana revolution in the next 5 to 10 years in this country. You do want to invest ahead of that revolution, but you don't want to buy those crappy insider-controlled scams. Stick with real companies that are selling products that real marijuana growers will have to use to grow that marijuana.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. This was